Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Tuesday. It's April 1st. This will be our chart lesson for today. And quick look at our daily chart. You can see that prices tried to trend lower earlier. We found support at this previous support level, and we pushed higher. We closed higher. We didn't close quite on the top, but that still looks like we've reversed and we're trying to trade higher. So we'll see if we get some follow through tomorrow. Another day of follow through, and we could take on off and get some movement here, but we'll just have to see. At this point, it still looks like maybe we're putting in a bottom, but the fact that we didn't close on the high here and have all that stem there, that's a little bit of concern for me. Um, but it still doesn't mean we're not going higher yet. So we'll see what tomorrow brings. But let's flip over to the 2,000 tick chart and take a look at it. And I'm probably going to have to move a little quickly today because I need to get out of here early today. And I'm already late getting this done. It's been kind of a busy day for me. So let me get over that chart and let's get rolling, and we'll try to get through this pretty quickly today. Okay, here's our 2,000 tick chart. We started out in this range, had a little failed break lower, moved and broke out the top, failed out there, got back in the range, and we tried to rally some more. We didn't quite get back to the highs from previous, but we closed rallying back out of the range again. So I would describe this as a range day or mixed trading day with kind of an upward bias. That's the way I would end up describing this day. Um, we know we couldn't even get back down to the lows here, so that's promising as well. But it would have been nice if we would have rallied on out on this breakout. It just didn't happen. Most breakouts are going to fail, even if they're going to continue out um, afterwards. You see, as we did here, they're probably still going to fail on the first breakout. It's just the way it's very rare that they don't. Sometimes they'll go further than others before they fail, but they usually always fail. So anyway, let's zoom in here. We'll go through the trades. There was a 9 o'clock high volatility news item you had to be aware of, so I blocked that out right there from about maybe 10 minutes, quarter till 9 to about 5 minutes or so afterwards. It didn't really make much effect. Some kind of jobs opening and manufacturing stuff that can cause some uh, craziness in the market, but we really didn't get it today. So anyway, let's zoom in here and go through these trades. But you can see early on we were just chopping around in this range. 7 o'clock came. It was somewhere right in here. It's one of these bars. Yeah, I think it was in this little group right here. And then we shot up, pulled back, and then had a first entry, pulled back. So that was a second entry long, and it really didn't take off. I can't remember how many ticks it got right there. But you can see it's not enough to scalp out. And it pulls back. And this is a great example of why we put our stops where we put them. If you had it anywhere but one tick below that signal bar, you got stopped out. If you put it where it's supposed to go, it goes. You survive this pullback, and it goes exactly where you think it will. So anyway, you could have entered here on a higher low as well. It's a little close to these highs, but it's right off that trend line, so we're most likely going higher, and you can see it takes off this time. And then we get a break of this. We tried to go higher. You actually get a second entry short there. I didn't mark that one because it looked a little congested to me, but I mean, you could argue for that. It's definitely a second entry short. We're really looking for prices to go higher here because we've already got a break and new low here, and we don't have a new high on this one, but it is a choppy range day, so we could just get stuck in the lower half. So there's reasons to consider that one. It turned out it would have been a nice trade, and then you get a second entry long here, and of course you're working down, you get a close outside new low and a second entry. Nice signal bar. We've bounced down here a couple more times, so I like that trade. It takes off, gets a break here, move to a new high, and then of course now you got another move back down up here, but we didn't quite get back to the midline either. It's a relatively big bar, 28 ticks. So I think you need to wait for a lower high there, and you just don't get it. It just bottoms out here and takes off again. I don't see any trades on the way up, and then it's just chopping around here. You get a close outside, we don't quite have a new high, and then you're working the other direction. And that gets you into this news item. So you just have to kind of sit tight. And by the time it comes out, we did test this twice here, and that's a second entry. Technically, the second entry was right there into the lows. But you could look at that as 2 legs back to test that breakout. But I'd like to see 3 there before I'm going to take it, especially when this is your signal bar and it doesn't qualify anyway. So I don't think you could take that trade. And then this is all too congested. It breaks lower. And then it rallies out of there. And it looks like we had a little bit of a close outside here, but it's hard to say for sure if we did or not. And so, you might want to wait till you get a confirmed trend line in the other direction. And notice here you get a first entry, second entry. Let me zoom in here. I don't know if you can see that break higher there, but there's like a 1 tick break higher. So that's a first entry, then it pulls down, second entry. You get a close outside and a new low all. With that being above the EMA and we're looking for a possible reversal here, I think you could take that trade. There's a higher low here, but you're right back into that. It's still acting as resistance. That was the 3rd time. Now, I didn't mark that either. That's another one. I think it has a little, it's not a perfect signal bar. It is a triple test. It is a second entry short. Notice the new low, first entry, second entry. So it's one you could argue for, but I just didn't like it because I felt like this was going to fail and go higher, and it does. Notice we pushed up here and you get a first entry. So a break above that bar is a second entry. It turned out to be the second entry on the break above this one, but this is an inside bar. You can't really use that. But we do have a trend line set here now, so we'll see if something comes back to it. This thing just takes off. And then we do get 2 legs back to the trend line, the EMA. The only problem is the signal bar is horrible. If you had a good signal bar there, go long, all day long. And it'll probably work even with a bad signal bar, but don't risk it. So, and you might argue that there's a continuation pattern here on a failure because you got a new low and you go first, second entry short. So that's a possibility. It's not really where you're looking for one. It's more of a continuation. It's not a reversal. It's like a continuation pattern, but we're so close to the highs up here. We're not there yet, though, and there is room to get there, so maybe you make that green. We push on through, and you get your first close outside here with a first entry, second entry, and a nice signal bar. And with a trend with a spike in channel that strong, you're going to at least retest the highs. So I think you're safe you don't have to go far to even retest the highs. You see it look like a lot of selling came in there because people are probably trying to pick a top, but it just continues on. And then it turns down up here. That's too congested. I don't see anything that would make me want to go short there. Comes back again, and now you got a double top, and you do have a second entry there. You see it's an engulfing type bar. Again, I just think you're better off just to sit tight because sometimes you'll get 2 measured legs up, so it could pull back and push on up through there. So I just sit tight on that. And it actually drops down here, and it turns out we just got a bigger range. But notice we tested this 1, 2, 3 times, actually 4 because we went higher and came back again. Maybe even 5 times if you count over here. So I think that signal bar is close enough. It's iffy, but when you've tested it that many, and it's probably going to take off here and at least go back to where it's been tested in the midline. There's plenty of room there, and look at it. It just takes off and goes straight back to the top. Close outside, new high. That's a second entry short, and now you got a triple test up here. Nice signal bar. You may not get in that one because it gaps and takes off, but if you could get in that, by all means do it. And then you get a first entry, second entry, and you're not really looking for second entries in here, but you get 2 higher lows than the original low here, and it's like prices are stopped here at the midline. With that trend line going too, I say take that trade. You don't want to take this one because you're right into the highs. It doesn't matter. It ends up taking off. And you actually get a triple test here, so that is very That's very tempting, but I just don't quite think that signal bar is good enough. And you can see I wasn't the only one because it turns back down, breaks lower, fails, and turns up and takes off. You could take that on the engulfing bar. It's a second entry long, right at the key entry point. Um, I'm thinking they probably trap some people here as well. And that thing runs up, makes a new high, actually pushes up one more time, makes a higher high. You could look at that as a double top, but I'd want a lower high there. And while that's a double top, it still pushes slightly higher. You may still take that, but I would say wait and see because you don't have a real clear close outside on this channel working up. I mean, it does look like it closes outside maybe, but it's not convincing. I'd wait on a lower high, and you get one, but it's way down here, and you can't trade that. That's too far. And this thing, the bottom just falls out. We go all the way back down and test the breakout. And it bounces. I don't see any entries there that I would want. Comes back. You get a close outside, try to go higher once, twice. So you really could argue you've tried to go higher 3 times, but it's also a first entry, second entry. I wouldn't count that little tick right there. It's just a leg up, first entry, and then second entry. And the second entry alone wouldn't be good enough uh, if you're just trying to use a second entry because it looks really congested. But we are way away from the EMA. We do have a trend line there, and there was some momentum here. So that would explain why it's why it's hung up here at the trend line, but you can see it losing momentum, and then you get a nice signal bar on that second entry after trying to go higher 3 times, and boom, it comes right back. It tries to go higher again, and you can see that trend line still holding. It's been confirmed now. I just don't see a setup there you can take. And it drops on down, and you get another second entry here, but you can't trade that because you're still in this channel working up. That's not a good enough signal bar, and you can see it fails, and you get the push one more push up, and you get the close outside and new high all together. If it was a lower high, I would say you could take that, but I don't know that I want to take that with it being stuck between the trend line, EMA, and making a new high because it could break lower and push up one more time. Sometimes you get 2 legs up after a break. Again, you might argue for it to be green. If there was even a triple test across there, I'd say take that trade, but you just don't have it. And that turns out to be a really nice trade. Runs back down, and we're finding support, and it's kind of working both sides here. It's hard to, at first it looks like it may bounce, but then it just breaks and comes on down. And I don't, there is a second entry short here. Notice that new low, you're working up first entry. And so when it breaks lower there, it's a second entry short. The problem is you don't have a new high yet on this trend working up. And so that's a problem, really. Again, it is a second entry, and you're going short right into that support that's held for 4 bars. So that's dangerous. It ends up taking off, but you just don't know that. You've already got to close outside the new low, so it could reverse here on you. You could get trapped in reverse. And you can see it looks like a nice move down, but you just can't enter there. And that's too choppy, and that's just a first entry. And then we get another range down here, and you get a chance to go short off the top right there, and you get a chance, you got at least a triple test here, and you get a chance to go long off the lows. But notice 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6. That's like a, I don't know what you'd call a sextuplet. I don't even know what you'd call it. The 6 touches, I'd have to look that up. I'm sorry. And then it breaks out here, and you may take that. It breaks lower first and turns up. I wouldn't trade that on the engulfing bar. But when that closes back inside, I mean, this is where you might catch. These are the ones that pay off. These failed break lowers that happen at all-time lows and highs are often important, very important lows and highs for the day. And you can see that was the low of the day. You would have got a runner there, and it never looks back. You could have made a nice runner there, even if you just held it till the first bar that closes outside that gets a break below it. Let's see what that would be. That's 18 points. That's a 900 just on a single contract. You probably make you $900 right there. So if you got more than that, if, if I trade this and I have 5 runners, that's $4,500 on a runner, on a set of runners. So that pays off pretty well. But you do get your close outside and it moves up, and then it just kind of chops sideways after that. So there it is. I know I've moved through that pretty quickly today, but I didn't have much choice if I wanted to get this out today. So bear with me. Just today, I promised my family I'd take them to the baseball game today, and it started at 4, and I'm not going to get there till 5 anyway. But at least we'll get to catch the tail end of the ball game. So it's such a nice day here. We hadn't had a nice day here in a week or so. Nice spring, pretty spring day out there today. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.